What's going on, everyone? Yes, today is another toy review, and yes, the robot that stands in front of you is the one and only Mazinger Z from the epic new movie Mazinger Z Infinite. Now, if you don't know about Mazinger Z, you can always look at books or look at anime form because there's a ton of them out there. I actually need to do the same because I don't know that much about Mazinger Z. I'm just a really big fan of Devilman stuff, and I know this is from that same era for the most part. And I just like the design, so I picked it up. Now, this figure here is Bandai Tamashii Nations, and this is a metal build figure. So, first and foremost, if you never owned a metal build, you definitely should. They're very well crafted, and this was a must for me. So, between just the overall new design for the movie and being a metal build figure, I had to pick it up. So, let's jump in this review and see what this figure has to offer. So let's give it a good old once-over full 360 view of good old Mazinger Z. Now, as you can already see, the difference is they have panels, a whole lot of panels in this particular design of Mazinger Z, where, in my personal opinion, I actually like this a lot more. It makes more sense for some of the movements that Mazinger used to do in the old cartoons. So this actually has a lot more logical sense to it. And it just looks good. It gives a nice ass texture when it just deals with, you know, seeing these panels. Like, it doesn't look so bland. It doesn't have this real basic look like the old look. So I actually like this design much more. There's nothing wrong with the old one, but I just like the mechanics. Like, it makes sense for something to be moving around like a human as large as it is. With all these panels, that kind of makes sense of how it can move the way it does. So this is a real nice design on it. And what I did here, I actually equipped him with some of his weapons just because I don't want to have to fight with it later to show you how certain things look. So I just went ahead and did it from there. Let me go ahead and focus on the arm just a little bit for y'all so y'all can see it. There you go. Alright, that is a nice once over. Now this figure stands about, I say at the most, about 7.5 inches tall. Most Gundam metal build figures is roughly around the same size. Every now and then you might get something a little bit taller depending on how it's designed. But yes, he's about 7.5 inches tall, probably close to 8. So that is the size of this. And this thing is die cast metal. Like I said before, this thing is heavy, very heavy. The legs, pretty much for the most part, this whole entire blue section is hard die cast. The arms, I think is more so plastic right here. Your die cast is definitely the silver there. The inner part of the body is die cast. The outer part is definitely plastic. These shoulder pads here is metal, and then obviously his head is plastic. So they distribute metal really well across the figure, so that way you can hold poses, things don't become weak, friction just works with one another, just so that way parts can stay nice and firm. When you get this figure, trust me on this, normally you can wing a lot of shit. I honestly say break that instruction manual out, because this figure has quite a bit of stuff hidden on it that just looks damn good, and you don't want to make a mistake and break anything. So as for, let's go ahead and jump into the accessories. You have a ton of them actually. So I'm gonna go through this, and hopefully as I'm auto-focusing on the items, you can see the great details in it. So the first thing you're gonna get will be a blast effect. Let me use this hand instead so I can autofocus. Give me 1 second. You get a blast effect for his rocket arm, or rocket punch rather. Ooh, shit. So on this effect, clearly it's really well done. Like, the colors look nice, and I know it's kind of hard to see a little bit, but he has like this really wildfire type explosion at the base of the arm, which is also really nice. Or not, actually not the base, I'm sorry. This is where this little peg you see that's sticking out, that's where his fist will go. Well, his forearm will go, and then this will come out the back of the forearm. Now, what's nice about this as well, with the blast effect, obviously his arm is floating off his body. What they give you to work with that, they actually give you this Y base, right? And then they're going to give you 3 clear pegs, so that way you can have the arm actually hovering and making it look like it's flying on its own. So that was really nice, a real nice touch for the blast effect that you're going to get. So you're going to get 2 of those, 1 for each arm. And you're going to get these miniature blast effects where this goes to the foot and the booster on his jetpack. Nice tones in nice orange and red you see going on, and it is transparent, so it looks really, really nice. You're going to get 4 of those, 2 for the backpack, 2 for the feet. You're going to get kind of that slap the shit out of you hand, or that nice chop hand, rather, people will call it, which is really nicely done, nicely sculpted. You can see like the little knuckle joints in there that they sculpted in there and painted. Even on this back end, you really can see it. Almost remind you of a Sentinel hand from like a X-Man figure, or the Sentinel figure. So this was really nice sculpted work. And it just pegs into the wrist, which is pretty much the same, or been the same for a long time with the metal build figures, or even just the robot figures in general that Bandai kind of puts out. So you don't have to be concerned on trying to fight with putting the hand on the actual peg. It works really well. This right here is the ball fist it's going to get. It's also well sculpted. This is the default hands. I'm going to get a right and a left for it. Same thing goes. It's an easy peg in. And you also can see on his arm here, you get a nice expressive hand. Let me see if I can actually bring it out a little bit for y'all so y'all can see. Aim up real quick. So it's nicely sculpted. Nice good expression on it as well. Move this out the way. And back end also nicely sculpted. Give me 1 second to put this. Actually, I'll keep it off. That way I can show you later. So that is that. You're going to get 2 different type of parts for his forearm, because the forearm can actually come off. You're going to get where his like machine gun fire, where that's what it's really meant for. So what happens is you remove this off of a peg and you peg it on, and then the peg that I'm holding, that's where the arms will go. So initially it sits like, let me see if I can actually hold it correctly. It sits like that. So the arm goes up the same way it's going up right now, and it just exposes the elbow where you can see like the barrels to his guns, or his weapons rather. So you get that, and then you want to get this piece, which is initially the same thing, but this is designed solely for the rocket punch. So that's that, and that pegs in fairly easy as well. You're going to get what you see on his left arm right now, which is the blades. I really like this design a lot. So on the one Mazinger Z figure that I recently did, you actually have like magnets, right? So the magnets and just the way the arm splits is kind of weird. But the way they did it in this, to make sense of it, so first and foremost, this panel that you see can actually come off. You just put your nail up on there, you can pop it off. So this arm over here already has it. So if you notice, try to bring this down to his size so we can get as focused as possible. Right, try my best not to scrape nothing. All right, so I'll turn it to the side there. And all right, so if you notice, so I can get this even clearer for y'all. All right. If you notice, the panel at the bottom kind of like comes down a little bit. And anybody that know like RoboCop, the way his thigh panel for his gun kind of pops out and slides down to expose the pistol, that's kind of how they designed it to look for his blades, which make way more sense, and it just looks really, really nice when you peg it in. So it just looks like it just came out the side of his arm, and it just makes sense. Like I said, it just works. This whole design of this figure is really, really dope. So you got that going on. And you're going to get a total of 4 of those, obviously. So 2 for each arm. Now, as for, let's say the pilot piece that's in his head right now. Go ahead and focus real quick. So the pilot piece that you see in his head, I really, really like this. They actually gave you 2 instead of being lazy and just giving you 1 bendable one. So the thing about the bendable one, it just feels cheap and it's scary as shit when you actually move it around and transferring it into like plane mode or into, you know, pilot mode for the Mazinger Z robot. So what they did, they just gave 2 different scopes. One is already pre-folded and one is already in plane mode. I really like they did this because I got sick of messing with all of the other ones, and solely because it just feels like it's going to break when you mess with it. So just having a solid piece, in my opinion, is just much better. Also, what they did is they changed the plug-in. So what's nice about it, on the bottom of this one, obviously you don't see a plug-in because it's not meant to go in the head. But instead of making it the standard circle that they always do on every single Mazinger Z figure, they actually made it a rectangle. So you don't have to worry about nothing being loose or feeling flimsy and fall out. Because anybody that owned a Mazinger Z figure, I'm pretty sure everyone has came across that problem where the pilot piece just kind of like plops out if you move it the wrong way, or you got to constantly keep pushing it down and it becomes annoying. But because they did that type of plug, and the plug is actually fairly deep into the actual pilot piece, so you don't got to worry about nothing falling out. Like, it's good. It's really well done. So I will honestly say they definitely did a really good job on making that decision. So I like that a whole lot. You're going to get, what is this, 1 different panel piece for the stomach. So the way they did this, which in a way is kind of an issue slightly because it's kind of hard to get out. I haven't pulled it out. I haven't even bothered trying to pull it out. But there is his rocket being exposed partially that he shoots from his stomach. If you flip it around, you see this little peg sticking out the middle. You push that in order to get the rocket out. So you want to push that out to get the rocket out. So you're probably going to need like some tweezers just to continue to push that piece forward, because once you push it up so far, it stops and there's no way to get your fingers to it. But this is the actual rocket itself that you receive. So this is the rocket that actually supposed to shoot from his stomach, which is hilarious because it's like, how the fuck is that possible? But hey, it's anime. But yeah, like, so you get this. There's a little plug in the back. The hell? Anyway, it's a little plug in the back, and it's nicely painted, nice and clean, like a metallic purple at the back of it, and kind of a dull purple on the sides of each fin. But really nicely done. So you're gonna get that. You're gonna get the backpack panel that's already pre-open. The side panels can move because it is a hinge on it, but it's already pre-open, so when you actually put it around his waist, it's already open as if he's shooting the rocket out, even with the backpack on his back. So that's a nice touch. Here is the backpack itself. Pull this off real quick, which is really nicely sculpted. So let me move him out the way 1 second just so y'all can see, because I know I need to push this further back. So the panels on this is just nice and clean, gives nice texture and dimension to it. You do have 2 hinges that I didn't even notice they actually had until just now, which is hilarious. But you can fold it like so. And on this part, this obviously opens up so you can put around his waist. And he has this huge flat tab in the middle that goes directly through his back by pulling off a panel on his back and sliding it into his back, and that way it's nice and firm and it stays in there. So everything works really, really good. Like, this is so well thought out on how they designed it. I'm really, really impressed. But it's not like this is the first time of me dealing with a metal build and just being blown away anyway. It's kind of standard when it comes to them. Also, let me show you that while I got it out. You're going to get this nice effects part with these like metal blades. Nice transparent, kind of like a window look. Like something being ejected, which it is. You put that on the side of his wing. Now this is just sits on top, so it's nothing locking it in place. So pretty much the angle that you can put him on his base causes this to stay in place. So you don't got to worry about this falling off or anything weird. All right, so you're going to get that. And last but not least, out of the accessories, you're going to receive a base, which is a standard metal build style base for the most part. They have other parts that actually attach to this base, so that way he can either stand up or fly or, you know, hover, however you want to design them. I'll move them over 1 second. But that is the base that you get. There's a little arm that you work with, and it does have mechanisms that locks it in place when you're moving a certain way, so you don't got to worry about being concerned with it tipping over on you or something ridiculous. So this thing works really, really good. And if you see this little part that's in the front, these little black squares is meant to be tabbed in there, so it just gives him different ways of sitting up, so that way you don't got to worry about him like plopping over due to his weight from the die cast metal. So that's the nice part. Like, you can legit set it up the way you need to. And if you want to make it go closer, this way obviously go further in, so I can switch this around and turn it to where I need be. So really nice little touch. So that is all of the accessories that you would get with the metal build Mazinger Z. Now, what I'll show you real quick, let me move some of this stuff out the way. Now, dealing with articulation, once again, beast figure. So as for head, top half of it is on a ball joint. He can tilt a little bit to the side. On both ends, he can look up a little bit. I'll turn him on an angle so you can actually see it, how far he looks up. So he looks up a little bit, not too much. It can rotate side to side. Nothing is hindering it. Looking down is kind of a nuisance. Really can't look down on it. Some of the other Mazinger Z figures definitely had a better range of looking down. This one kind of had that taco neck. It ain't working. Like, it just got a selective spot that it's stuck in and can't go no further type situation. Now, going down to his shoulders. His shoulders here is just, everything about this is just beast. So let me go ahead and try to flatten out some of this stuff so I can show you. And why I say this is just so well put together. So on his shoulders, he have butterfly joints, right? So you can tilt the arm forward or back, right? You get a nice range on both ends. So I got one shoulder back, which you can see there. And then I got the other shoulder going forward, which you can see there. Also, on that same thing, you can lift up each shoulder pad, because they're on single hinges, which cause you to get obviously more range when it comes down to making his arms go out to the side. So you don't got to worry about him being stuck, not being able to do something. His arm gets the full rotation, of course. Be careful, because his chest fins are technically in the way. So you definitely want to be careful there when doing that. Just be wary of it. Rotation at the bicep. There's really no rotation right here, because these two metal pieces that you see sticking in the front end of the joint actually prevents it from rotating, which is fine, because at the base of his bicep, he can actually rotate his arm down here. So it's nothing to be concerned about. But what I really like the most like on most 1/6 scale figures, where you can actually lift up this butterfly joint going up and down. What's nice, it alters the actual rib cage and chest area. So if I lift his arms up at the shoulder, and say at both parts, so I'm gonna lift it up a bit so you can actually see. If you notice, his rib cage spreads apart a little bit. So right here, if I push it down, you can see it collapse back in, which is really, really nice. And also when you tilt the arms back, the chest fins actually will move accordingly so they won't break. That's really dope as well. Going to the elbow. So I would say just be careful when you bend it, because the arm is still plastic versus the joint itself is die cast metal. But you get a really nice bend on there. Really, really nice bend. So you can initially make him, like I did this earlier just to see if I could do it. Hold on. Don't want to mess nothing up. It's bad enough everything is. So the metal, the thing about metal builds or stuff that is metal, the scary factor is that it's still plastic working amongst metal. So you don't want to make a mistake and bend something the wrong direction, and the next thing you know, you breaking something. So I would just say definitely be careful of it. But like you can legit get his arm damn near, you can. You can put his arm in front of his face. Like, that's how good this shoulder joint and arm work as one. Really, really well done. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and move this back. And what I'm going to do, let me take the panels off real fast on his blades, because I don't want to get it in the way while I'm in the midst of trying to show you stuff. Alright. And what I'm going to do, I want to take the arm off too, just to show you how they designed it. Alright. Cool part is, pulling off the arm is not hard. First it seems scary. When you pull the arm off, definitely pull at the bicep, like hold your index and thumb obviously on bicep, and then pull with the other thumb and index on the forearm itself, right at the part where it separates, and it'll come off. The nice part, this right here won't break, because this is actually die cast metal, so you don't got to worry about that giving you any issue. If anything, if you're going to break anything, it's going to be on this forearm because it's plastic. So that's why I said just be careful, like moving anything on here when you're bending it. But for the most part, I'll show you real quick. See if I can autofocus real fast for y'all. Alright, so that's the panel, how it looks when it's off. Also, this little elbow joint bends as well, and then it actually can bend down and collapse like this. So when it's in, the rocket mode. So initially, when you got it pegged on, there you go. Everything stays for the most part, so you don't got to worry about nothing just plopping off on you. Obviously, shaking it like the way I did will do it. But if I'm not wrong, too, looking at it was kind of nice. I didn't notice it until just now. It almost looks like the joint. So when you even put in this rocket piece on, you can kind of turn it the right way for yourself to make sure that it stays on, which is actually ironic and funny that it just popped off. But the cool part is, you just notice that you don't got to worry about nothing breaking on you, because it's kind of already set to be disassembled. So that's a nice thing. I didn't have to worry about actually feeling like I tore some shit up. So let me go ahead and fit that back on real quick. Yep. Goes on nice and smooth. Nothing's damaged. On his wrist, he has a ball joint inside the actual forearm itself, like most of the Mazinger Z's, and then obviously he can rotate at the fist. So that's not a problem neither. So I'll leave that off real quick. Going down to the abdomen section, he has 3 crunches. He has one right above the black, one below where you can see the silver, and then it should be able to bend right here too. I haven't messed around with it enough, but I'm pretty sure you can. So when you want to put his rocket part on, you see when it starts showing gray? It's so flush. It's just an actual line that's real small. You just got to get a nail in there and you can pop that forward. And then on the back, when you want to take the back piece off, you lean them forward. And this little panel, mid panel, can be popped off as well. And that's where his backpack would technically go. So as for articulation, you see that he can move quite a bit forward to be a robot. Move quite a bit back as well. Rotation is cool, so he can rotate the body. I would say just be careful with it because it's not like crazy rotation. It's just enough. And you don't want to chip any paint or anything of that nature. And I'm pretty sure he can rotate at the base too. I just need to mess around with it. I haven't tried it. So let me see. Give me 1 second. I'll be able to tell you if it does. Yep, so he rotates a tad bit at the base of the waist. Not much though. Just due to the fact the way his crotch panel is built is really snug. So trying to turn it, you either gonna break something or you're gonna scratch some paint. So you can only literally turn it just a tad bit. On his side skirt panels, they can go up to give him more range of a pose, which is nice. The back piece can actually lift up slightly, so this has give. So if you make the legs go backwards, it won't break this. It'll actually lift this up instead. On the crotch piece, when removing this, this actually slides up and down. Not much, but you can hear it clicking. So you can actually move that accordingly so you can move that panel out the way when you're changing out the stomach piece. As for legs, huge amount of range. So I'm going to go ahead and bend these out so y'all can see it. And I'll show you exactly how much range you're getting for this to be a robot figure. That's how much you're getting there. So really well done. He has a swivel on the thigh piece just to show you quick balance too. That's what happens when you got nice good old die cast metal. There's nothing really hindering you for posability and keeping a pose. Now on his knee, well actually not even going to his knee yet, just to show you how far his leg can go forward and maybe about that far going backwards. So that's pretty damn good to be a robot. Alright. The bending of the knee has two collapsible parts, one at the top, one at the lower part of the knee. So you get a nice bend in the leg itself. You can see back here on this leg, there's the little hinge that actually collapses. So as I start bending it, you can see it slides in and folds. So that's really dope. Going down to the foot can go about that far down, maybe about that far up, and then it can tilt just a tad bit, pivot